Hello, and welcome to another edition of Spoken Voices. We hope everybody's doing well. We hope everybody is healthy and doing fine. We also know that the summer's gone. We also know that a lot of people like myself are very sad at this point because we know what's coming down the road. Another long New England winter. But we'll get through it, and we hope that we make the transition to winter a little bit better when you guys tune in to us. Today we have a guest that is an actor, a director, and also a behavioral technician who helps kids on the spectrum with autism. And I'd like to introduce him now, Mr. Joel Roman. What's going on, man?
Hey, it's going great. Thanks for having me, Nathaniel. I'm excited.
Good. You know, and we like to get people on here who are doing good things.
Yes.
Doing great things, you know, because whenever we can get our people out there to show us some positive stuff,
yes,
we're really happy. So, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, I'm Joel Roman. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, like you said. I write my own projects. I've been performing since I was 19, raised out of Bridgeport.
Okay.
You know, and I also work with kids with autism.
Okay.
And I actually fell in that field when I moved back from California, and I've been doing that along with my acting. I even created a one-man show, and in my one-man show, one of my characters is autistic.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, I love helping people. I love inspiring people, educating people through the arts.
Okay.
It's awesome, man.
So what at 19,
yes,
right, what inspired you to even get into acting?
Great idea. A great question, I mean. Well, when I was 15, I went on a youth group trip, right?
Okay.
To the Grand Canyon. And in New Mexico, I got into an accident. Right?
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you see the scars.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah, we got into an accident in New Mexico, lost two of my friends, almost lost my life.
Wow.
Yeah, fell into a coma for a month.
How old were you?
I was 15.
Oh,
I actually
God.
spent my 16th birthday in a coma.
Wow. Dude.
Yeah, so prior to that, though, my goal and my dream was to play football.
Okay.
But when I came out of my coma, the doctor said, Joe, due to the injury you had to your brain, you can't play no physical sports.
Wow.
So after crying and wondering, God, what am I going to do next? Not knowing, you know, felt lost. I remember before going on that trip, I used to go support my god sister plays. And I would always be like, man, that's fun. That looks like fun. Right. And I'm the type of guy, you know, if I tell a story, I have to act it out.
Right.
So, you know, I was like, man, that's cool. I wouldn't mind doing that one day.
Right.
So one day, at my church youth group, they're like, we're going to have a deer instructor, and she's going to put a play together.
Okay.
Anybody want to come? I'm like, yeah, me. Yeah, I never acted before, but yeah, let me try it out.
Right.
And on top of that, we get to write it out. So I was like, cool, I get to write my own play. So I came up with an idea. I wrote out like a couple pages. Next thing you know, we performed in Bridgeport at the Downtown Cabaret Theater.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Senator Nathaniel, the moment I got on stage, I knew I found my calling.
Yeah.
I started wanting to go off stage.
You just felt it.
I wanted this all the time. And
What was the play about?
Oh, the play was about a young boy going to college and accomplishing his dream to get called by a big recruit from a big college to play football.
Okay.
And then along that, you see his journey of, you know, his hard work, going to practice, going to school, doing good, you know, his work ethic, to finally get a call from like Boston College or Florida State and be like, hey, yeah, we want you. Yeah, you know, like $1 million.
Right.
So I mean, I did that play. A kid accomplishing his goal and dream to go to play football for college and eventually go to the NFL. And when I did that play, people said, "How long you been acting?" I said, "My first play." Like, no way. I'm like, yeah.
And you basically wrote it.
And I wrote it.
Right. So, and you were how old?
Man, this was high school. I must have been 19 years old.
19 years old. Okay, and what was the step after that? Now, once you get out of high school, right, where do you go? Where do you go to kind of like feed that beast?
Great idea. Great question, I mean. So what happened was, right, that happened the summer of my senior year.
Okay.
So when I started school again, my senior year of high school, I went to my counselor. I said, I want to get into acting. Where do I go? What do I do? For my last year, he connected me to a program in Bridgeport. I believe they're in Trumbull now, but before they were in Bridgeport, called Regional Center of the Arts.
Okay.
So my last year of high school, I took classes there with instructors from New York.
Okay.
Teaching acting, voice and diction, stage movement, method training, like Meisner and all that great stuff. So I did that. I did plays with them. Then after that, I graduated high school. And I'm like, what's next? And I'm like, well, college,
Right.
I want to do this full time.
Right.
But, people are like, but Joe, you should have a plan B.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, you're right. Maybe, okay, cool. So I'll do New York, I'll work, and I go to college. So I signed up at Housatonic Community College.
Okay.
And I took classes there. And then I was doing workshops in New York at TVI Studios.
All right.
I was going up with coaches, one-on-one. And then I started booking gigs off backstage and meeting agents.
Right.
And I'm like, this is taking off. Awesome.
Right.
But what if it don't work out all the way? So I still kept my foot in college.
Right, of course.
I did college about 2 years, but I knew my passion was just acting.
Right.
I was just going to college if it doesn't work out and still performing.
Right.
So eventually one night I'm with a friend and I'm like, man, I'm burned out, man. I'm working full-time job at this armor truck company. I'm going to college full-time.
Right.
And I'm going to New York to take classes and get gigs here and there whenever I can. And he just said, Joe, just pick one and go for it. And that's why I needed to hear it. I said, you're right. I said, my passion, my desire, my dream is acting. So I left college. I needed a job, so I kept my job. And I just kept pursuing New York for 5 years.
Okay.
Booking extra work.
Were you commuting?
Yes.
Okay.
And even driving.
Okay.
Yep. So sometimes, like for example, my first big gig in New York, or a TV show, was Law and Order.
Okay.
And I drove because we had an early call time. But then like other like plays or little like improv theater,
Right.
I would just catch a train.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, but it was like a big gig and then you need like early before the train was running.
Yeah.
Then I would
You
drive.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, see, but that's exciting to me.
Yes.
Because it's something out of the norm. It's not being an accountant or, working in a big office. You're doing something that you have a passion for.
Yes.
So you're in New York City. Did you ever think about just saying, okay, I'm going to bust my hump and I'm going to be like the prototypical person that's doing acting and say, I'm going to find a one-room place or I'm going to room with somebody and just stay in New York, or did you keep commuting back and forth?
Yes, great question. Well, what happened was, right, in college, I met another filmmaker, right?
Okay.
And that was the goal. We're going to move out there, Flatbush, Brooklyn, get an apartment. And it's funny because the armor trunk company that I used to work for, the main base was in New York.
Okay.
So I would have had a job already. So we were already planning little by little to, transition both of us out there. But then, goals went left and right.
Of course.
So he was like, yeah, I want to do this. And I was like, well, I want to do that. So it started off good, but then we're like, yeah, this might not work.
Right.
So I said, in the meantime, I'm going to keep commuting until I see what's next. And after 5 years going back and forth, I had an opportunity came from a person in New York who I used to study with.
Right.
She's a marketer, and she had connections in Hollywood in California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so eventually, like, Joe, I do this workshop pretty much 2 times a year. It's more like a showcase.
Right.
Where I pick 12 actors and we go to Beverly Hills and we set up for agents and managers and cast directors and you perform. I'm like, really? Then we got to audition. I'm all right, cool.
Right.
So I went, first time, didn't make the cut.
Okay.
Second time, bam. Next thing I'm like, this is it. Hollywood. Because I was debating, maybe New York, but I was like, but I was still a little scared. Hollywood? I never left Connecticut. Besides New York. We're going, California's a big state.
The tri-states.
Yeah, exactly. Tri-state.
Right.
And mind you, I'm like, man, at that time I was like 22, 23.
Oh, man, that's beautiful, though, man.
Beautiful. So I was like, all right. So I went. Second, I was like, Joe, you're ready. Let's go. Let's bring it to Hollywood. So she prepared me. She got me ready. And in 2004, I went out there, performed in front of agents, managers, casting directors, and I had people like, I want to represent you. So next step was move out there.
Right.
So I did it. At 23 years old, I moved to Hollywood.
Wow.
I had an agent, manager, and I had casting directors that I networked there. They eventually later put me on like films, music videos, commercials.
So how long did you stay out in Cali?
I lived in California for 4 years.
4 years.
From 2004 to 2008.
What the heck brought you back to this miserable weather?
Everybody say that.
Yeah,
Yo, if you're an actor, why are you not in Hollywood?
No, you know what I think? Tell me if I'm wrong. I usually look at it as Hollywood is film. New York is known for stage and whatnot. Which brings me to get back to what you back. But let me ask you this: what do you like better, being in front of the camera, behind the camera, directing stuff, or stage?
You know what? I love it all the same, but there's something about stage in front of an audience.
Everyone says that.
Yes.
All the actors say that.
You get that reaction immediately.
Right.
You know, like if it's a joke or if it's a statement, I mean, you get, oh, yeah,
Right.
ha, and
Right.
it just does this thing to your body.
But you don't want it like quiet, right?
Yeah.
You don't want it to be
No,
quiet.
but you know what? And that's funny. Depending.
Uh-huh.
Because let me tell you something. I played a character one time in Norwalk where it was a bad guy. I was real bad. And even though at times I got reactions, sometimes I didn't hear nothing.
Right.
But that's because how bad of a guy I was.
Okay.
So at the intermission, director came up to me and said, Joe, the audience, they hate you.
They hate you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, mission
That's-
accomplished.
exactly.
So what they were doing, they were listening. Because I also teach actors too.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a mentor and a coach as well. And I
good.
always say, listen, don't let that throw you off your game
Right.
if you don't hear audience reaction in a play.
Right.
Remember what you're saying.
Right.
Now, if it's comedy and you're missing your
And
punchline,
you're bombing.
then you're bombing.
Right.
But if you don't put in some information out there
Right.
and you dropping knowledge, people are listening. You got
Right.
listeners, and then you got people that react. You know, you do a little
Right.
bit of both. You know, so So I mean, that's where
Yeah,
we're at.
because if you're doing Shakespeare, right, if you're playing Othello, notice I pick Othello, right? Right? If you're doing him, you don't really want a reaction because Shakespeare is very hard hitting, but the words
Exactly.
it's supposed to make people think as opposed to react
Yes.
to them and whatnot. Getting back to California,
So
why the hell did you come back to Canada?
So my goal was this. If I'm going to California, Nathaniel, it's just to act.
Okay.
I knew a lot of actors that went out there and no work, but they're always working.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be like that. I said, no. I said, I'm just going to act. And I was blessed for 4 years to act. And I just act, but like I would also do like side gigs like DJ,
Okay.
dress up in costumes for birthday parties, events.
Okay.
And also work for an educational theater company where we
Okay.
go to schools in California and do skits of what kids are going through. So
Right.
instead of speaking to you, we're going to show you the consequences of your choices.
Okay.
You know, so that was bringing in some money too.
Gotcha.
My last, and I was like a hot commodity the first 2-3 years I was out there. My last year out there, it got slow.
Really?
So I was like, okay, but the rent then.
No, I hear the rent.
bills keep coming.
I hear the rent
so
out there.
I had to make a
It's
decision.
crazy.
I was, and I even had a buddy say, "Hey, Joe,
But didn't you love it out there? I mean,
love it.
it looked.
I
I mean,
love it.
well, I've never been.
I love Hollywood. Hollywood is its own world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the beautiful weather.
Yeah.
You know? But I said, I can get a job and still do acting, or I could recalculate route and come back to New York and
Right.
restart it again. And just, because, Connecticut's home.
Yeah, of course.
And build up, and then we'll see where it takes from there. So that's what I did. Even though I had a friend said, Joe, I was like, yeah, but if I stay there, I got to get a job. And do I want to do that?
Right.
I said, no, I just want to act. And I've been doing it for 4 years,
Right.
performing. So when I did that, I said, okay, I had a moment with God when I came back, and I said, God, I've done A, B, C, and D, movies, TV shows, commercials, plays. What haven't I done yet?
Right.
So as I asked that question, I'm going through YouTube,
Right.
and who I come across? John Leguizamo.
Okay.
His one-man shows,
My
right?
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So I'm cracking up. I'm like, there you go. Write a one-man show.
That's it.
I'm like, what I'm writing about. And at that time, along my spiritual journey, I'd always say, man, God, it ain't easy being godly. With this happening and that
not at
happening,
all.
it ain't easy, So I said, I can't be the only one feeling like this. So I put pen to paper and I
Right.
started writing. And when I was here in New York auditioning and doing gigs here and there, I was writing. And eventually I put a post on Facebook saying, man, I'm excited to be writing my first one-man show. I just need a venue. Then guess what? My old professor from Housatonic says, Joe, come to Uzi. I said, yes.
Right.
It was a blessing.
Uh-huh.
Went there, did it, and the rest is history.
Right.
Yes.
So you've done a lot of stuff. You've been places and whatnot. My next question to you, because like I said, told the audience that you're a behavioral
Technician, behavior technician, yes. Yes, I'm a registered behavior technician.
Right.
And when I came back from California, mind you, I'm like, okay, New York, I'm writing a one-man show, but I need a job. So I had two options. I could go back to the armor truck company, where they're ready to take me back.
Of course.
Or a buddy, my next door neighbor, he's like, Joe, welcome back. I'm like, I need a job, man. He was like, guess what? You should do what I do. I said, what you do? He said, I work with kids on autism spectrum. I said, dude, I don't got no degree in that.
Right.
I never did that.
Right.
He's like, Joe, I got you. Let me train you. Let me put you in direction, and I'll connect you with my people.
Right.
I said, okay, cool. I said, I'll try it. Why not? I'm all about growing and learning.
Of course.
So he started training me, and after a couple of headbutts,
yeah, of course.
because those on the spectrum get a little violent.
I can't imagine. We had somebody on here before who was basically had done it for years and years and years. And my question to her was, is it harder in our community for Black and Latino kids to get the help? Is it something that we basically don't know about, or is it something that is not readily out there for us to know about, for those who have kids that have autism?
That's a great question, and I believe it's both. I believe some might not have the insurance, and some don't know about it. Today, to this day, people are like, what you do, Joe? I'm like, I get paid to play. What do you mean? I do ABA. What's ABA? Oh, it's therapy.
Right.
Applied behavior analyst. I'm a registered behavior technician. I help kids on the spectrum play, learn, interact. I provide a lot of therapy, gross motor therapy, fine motor therapy. I mean, the list goes on. They're like, really? I never knew about this. A friend of mine who I just found out I graduated with, she lives in Boston now, and she found out about ABA just now because I told her. And her kid, I didn't know her kid had autism.
How old is the kid?
The kid, I think she said is 6.
Okay, wow.
And she's like, Joe, why I never knew about it? I'm like, it's kind of a secret for whatever reason. I mean, not a secret, but people don't talk about it as much. Now they are. But back then, it was, even when I started doing this, because when I was here, I was, we were called, I used to work for DDS, and the title was not RBT or behavior technician. It was more like a tutor, mentor, caregiver.
Right.
I got certified when I went to Virginia.
Oh,
and even when I got to Virginia, the company I used to work for, the doctor was like, people are just learning about this now.
Right.
Like this is out, but a lot of people, like insurances at first wasn't qualifying as therapy.
Right.
What is this? So eventually when they start seeing results, the kids on the spectrum growing and learning, like, oh, this is therapeutic. Okay, now we'll accept this. So I believe in our community, we have to be more educated and let them know. Like, listen, you have kids on the spectrum? Cool, check it out. ABA therapy can help. Okay, but this is the thing too. Some people accept all insurances and some don't. Right. So if you just have like I'm using this as an example. One time a Latina woman asked me in Virginia, we got Medicaid. I think, is it Medicare or Medicare? I think
Medicare.
Yeah. I was like, oh, so I went back to the doctor. I was like, hey, doctor, do we take this? She's like, oh no, we don't. We just take TRICARE and A, B, and C and other. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you got to be aware of where these companies are and what type of insurances. But
to me, that is such a shame. I tell you, the thing, the audience knows, because I bring this up a lot, is that I'm a retired correction officer, right? And we had 3 days off. We were on 5 off 3. And on 2 of those off days, I would go and volunteer to talk to kids in high school in Bridgeport, Harding, and what's the other ones?
Central, Bassick Tech.
Thank you. So, and they were always the kids that were on the cusp of getting out of school, getting arrested, whatever. And we'd go talk. And out of the years that I was there, that was like the most rewarding thing about being a CO. It's about going in and talking to these kids and trying to prevent them from doing it. So when I see someone like yourself, who said, and young, who says, I'm going to take a lot of my time and help others. It's really a good thing to see. Yes. And like I say, I hate making everything, nationality and stuff like that. But we as a Latino and Black, we really never do have the resources as other people do. Now, there's, like you said, it's twofold. It's either we don't know where it's at, don't know how to get it, right, or we refuse to get it. Because, sometimes we stay amongst ourselves and we keep, dirty little secrets, so to speak, right?
Denial.
Yeah, denial. That there's something wrong with my child. You know, and as you see, sometimes kids commit these heinous crimes, and the mother says, "Not my son." You know, but if you know something, seek help. If you know something is wrong, seek help, because guys like you are out there. If you see that your child is not responding, like, you know, a child should respond.
Yes.
Emotionally, you know, physically. Then seek help. Try to find help, regardless of your insurance, because you'll find a way.
You'll find a way.
You'll find a way. And the people like you help people find a way. My question to you, you're an actor, director, you know, you write and stuff. What is more rewarding for you? Is there one more rewarding?
Man, you know what? I'm gonna break that question down in two ways.
Okay.
Acting is so rewarding to my soul.
Yeah.
I just feel like God just put a bunch of these characters inside of me. So when I unleash them and I get people laughing and reacting, it's like, you know, because laughter for me is the best therapeutic medicine out there.
No doubt.
You know, laughter,
No doubt.
you know, that is so rewarding. But then again, when I have a parent and write to me or tell me, Joe, thank you. You give me hope. Thank you. I'm seeing growth. Man, I just made a difference in someone's life.
Ain't that something?
You know? Yeah.
But you do that with acting too, though.
Exactly.
You know that. Yeah.
Exactly. Especially when I write, because I write inspirational stuff.
Right.
So yeah. So what a lot of things that I do. See, a lot of people don't understand, but there's subliminal messages in the entertainment you watch.
Of course.
You know, there's seeds being planted.
Of course.
So what I do that when I write my own projects.
Right.
I put inspirational, the word of God in there, also real life experiences.
Right.
People always ask me, "Hey Joe, that really happened?" I'm like, "Yeah," but I ain't gonna tell you who.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah, but
True
it happened,
story.
right.
You know, like, oh my goodness. I even had one woman said, "Joe, I felt this was in Virginia. I felt like you were talking about my marriage."
Yeah, that's deep.
Deep.
That is
because I got a
deep.
show called It Ain't Easy Being Godly While Being Married. And it talks about the struggles and things if you're not aware that the serpent can just...
Yeah. So what are we doing? What are you doing now that the audience needs to know about?
Awesome. Right now, I've been going back and forth to Virginia filming my sitcom, Quarantine, which is on...
Which is what?
Woo!
And where?
Awesome. Check this out. So... you know, me and the hustle always in Virginia.
Right.
You know, passing out DVDs and stuff like that. I came across a filmmaker out there.
Okay.
You know, and he saw that. He saw the potential. He's from New Jersey. And he was filming the event that I was at. And he gave me his business card. And I said, yeah, look at my DVD. Look at what I do. He fell in love with my It Ain't Easy Being Godly characters.
Okay.
He said, Joe, you are so talented. You remind me of Eddie Murphy. He said, what if we put all your characters in one house during quarantine?
Okay.
The man wrote 18 pages. Like that, one episode. We filmed the pilot episode right during quarantine a year ago, right when everything was shutting down.
Right.
And we got it out there. We sent it to the Los Angeles Independent Short Awards, which we got. We made it to the finalists.
Okay.
We sent it all New York. We sent them to all the festivals we could.
Right.
Eventually, we hooked up with a distributor in Canada. He put on his website, Layflix, so you can see it on layflix.com. Our pilot episode even went to Amazon. And for some reason, and we got 5 stars, but for some reason, just recently, only our trailers on Amazon. So they must have took it down. So our distributor has been in contact with them and said, hey, what's going on?
Right.
You know, we still want our pilot episode over there.
Right.
But in the meantime, we've been filming episode after episode. I was in Virginia last week, matter of fact, last weekend. And we got 5 episodes done. So 3 more episodes, we'll have a whole complete season 1.
Right.
Yes, of 8 episodes.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
man.
and I play all the characters. It's a one-man sitcom.
Man, you really do really want to follow out Leguizamo, man.
Yeah, man. He's inspiration. John Leguizamo, inspiration.
I think if anybody, no matter what your nationality is, anybody looks at John Leguizamo, you see the passion that he brings to everything that he does. He feels it. He feels. I mean, what was the last one he did?
Latinos, morons for Latinos.
To learn
dummies
about, yeah. You can tell the passion he felt and how he was so upset about certain things, and I love it. And you know, like I said, when you I don't know what that was. Just You know, when you have a passion for something that comes through,
Yes.
and you know the deal, right? And with anything that you do, if you don't have a passion for it, it shows.
It shows.
It really shows that you don't really want to be doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
And whatnot. We have to stay in contact with one another because I need to know what you're doing.
Yes.
I want to collaborate on stuff with
Yes.
me and Maribel because we're trying to do we're getting finished
Yes.
shooting the B-roll and stuff for the documentary that we're doing.
Awesome.
And, you know, I think that it's a good connection.
Yes.
And whatnot. I want you back on the show.
Yes.
Especially when, you know, when anything else new comes up, you let me know. I'll have you back on the show and you can, you know, profile it on here.
Yeah, and one thing I love to collaborate with you and Maribel is I want to create an autism network. Mm-hmm. You have all these networks, right?
Definitely.
I saw this platform, and what stuck out was it's called Spectrum.
Yeah. The company. Yeah.
Yeah, the company Spectrum. You know, and then Spoken Voices.
Right.
I'm like, they don't have a voice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some of them don't. Some of them can speak, but some of them don't.
No.
So I'm like, why are all these networks, and why hasn't someone thought about creating an autism network?
Right.
Where there are the stars, they're the stars of their own show.
Right.
And speaking to their peers.
There you go. And as far as them having their voice, they may be able to speak, but I don't think they have a voice in society. I think their voice is always silent because sometimes people look at them and feel sorry for them first and foremost, and they don't want to acknowledge it because it is a hurtful thing to see a child struggling for a lot of people. And as opposed to being proactive, they're neglective and whatnot. But we're glad to have you, Joel. We got to have you back.
Yes.
And whatnot. And as I always say, man makes plans, God smiles. And we're so happy you guys joined us. We hope to see you again on Spoken Voices. Goodbye.